Let me just say that in a few minutes, um, all of the city council members will be receiving the 2019 budget. Um, and it with a picture of a scene from Harvey and colored in green, and quite frankly, in honor of former council member Larry Green. So this is going to be handed out to all of the city council members. I have had an opportunity to talk with all of them and give them a preview of what will be what is included in this 2019 budget. I want to thank all of you for being here, and the Vice Chair of BFA is here, Councilmember Mandy Edwards, and then several of the department heads are here, along with the Chief of Staff, the Chief Operating Officer, of course, Mary with Communications, Tanya is there, and the finance team. Melissa, you can come up here and join us. You've been working in my office 3-4 days out of a week. Tandra Emo is here. It's the finance director, Will Jones. Melissa Dabowski is all here, and many others who have been working on this budget. I've said over the last several weeks and months that the city of Houston's finances are tight, and as mayor, I'm committed to holding the line on spending without cutting basic services such as trash pickup, library hours, or public parks. While at the same time, we want to make sure we have enough police officers and firefighters on the ground to protect our city. Today, I'm pleased to present the proposed budget for fiscal year 2019. It is important for taxpayers to understand how their money is invested in keeping our city strong and providing services that they can expect. The proposed budget for all funds total $4.9 billion. The total general fund budget is $2.48, right at $2.5 billion, an increase of $83 million, or 3.5% from the 2018 current budget. As I announced at the State of the City last year, the proposed budget closes a $114 million gap without layoffs while maintaining a healthy fund balance. I've asked departments again to reduce their budgets for a third consecutive year, which will total over $80 million in department reductions over the last 3 years. Instead of filling vacancies, we are eliminating positions through attrition. And to give you some sense about the number of positions that will be eliminated through attrition, it's about 200. The breakdown of the $83 million includes $42 million for debt service payments, primarily due to the pension obligation bond. So that's 42 of the $83 million. 14.2 million for police compensation due to a 3.48% pay raise effective July 1, 2018, based on the existing meet and confer agreements. And then there's $10.5 million for classified overtime funding, $5 million for police, included in the 2019 budget, and $5.5 million for fire. Then there's the $4.5 million for the Joint Processing Center and $4.5 million for service chargeback services. These include costs for electricity, fuel, and IT costs. So the budget is $83 million over and above last year, primarily covering debt service and money for public safety, law enforcement, police, fire, things of that nature. With regards to addressing the gap, for the third consecutive year, my annual proposal closes a budget gap, in this case $114 million, and this was accomplished without the use of any one-time land sales or deferrals. So within this budget, there are no one-time land sales, there are no deferrals. So how did we close the gap? I will tell you that $84 million will be pulled down from the fund balance. This drawdown is possible because of the Towers lawsuit settlement. That's the one involving the actuaries dealing with the pensions, which $29 million will come from the Towers settlement. And then because of unexpected sales tax increase, $28 million above 2018 projections. And so with the Towers lawsuit, the $29 million, and the increase in sales tax over and above projection $28 million, that boosts the current fund balance to more than 13.4%, okay? So we have drawn down $84 million from that fund balance of 13.4% to close the gap. And then we are pulling $15.8 million from the special revenue funds, and then $7.3 million from department reductions. There are no reductions for police and no material reductions for fire. And again, over 3 years, we have cut more than $80 million from the departments. And so in making that drawdown from the fund balance of 13.4%, along with the special revenue funds that we are pulling, the departmental reductions, we are closing that $114 million gap without any land sales or deferrals or any laying off of active employees. This budget also maintains a fund balance, a healthy fund balance of 9.15% of expenditures less debt, which is above the required minimum of 7.5%. And it's important that we hold on to that fund balance as much as possible. So even in balancing the budget of $114 million, we are maintaining a healthy fund balance of 9.15%. And what that means over and above that 7.5%, we are roughly $35 million above the required 7.5% that we are obligated to maintain. In 2018, we had to deplete our budget stabilization fund in the amount of $20 million to address the immediate financial burden from Hurricane Harvey. And we must maintain a healthy fund balance heading into the hurricane season. And so that's one reason why we need to hold on and to maintain as much of that fund balance as possible. We are getting ready to face another hurricane season. What does the budget not include? The budget does not include the $2.1 billion unfunded other post-employment benefits, or the OPEB, which has accumulated or accrued over the last 10, 15 years. Based on the 5-year average, the net OPEB obligation, and those are the post-employment retirement benefits, that's a long-term liability. That unfunded liability will grow by $160 million a year, which brings us up to about $2.1 billion. So that is just like the pension. That has accrued over the last 15 years. As I've indicated to council members and to others, the plan is for this administration to come forth with a plan over the next 6 to 12 months to start paying down on that unfunded liability, the OPEB. So we've been dealing with it for a number of years, and just like we addressed the pension issue, the plan is over the next 6 to 12 months, we will address this one as well. What does this budget not include? In addition, it does not include the $628 million in deferred maintenance costs. That's been hanging around for quite some time here at the City Hall. It does not include the additional dollars that we believe are needed in order to add at least 500 to 600 more police to our force. It does not include that. And it does not include the city's share of Harvey disaster recovery costs, which is 10 to 15% of the $2.5 billion over the next 5 years. It does not include that. And these are things that we need to address. But what it does include 5 cadet classes of 2019, fully funded, for maximum capacity for our police department. And it does include 3 additional cadet classes for fire. Those are included. And then as a cautionary note, please bear in mind that the city is currently engaged in negotiations or maybe negotiating with all 3 employee groups this year. And so, for example, the municipal employees contract will end the end of June, and we're already in negotiations with municipal employees. Police contract will end at the end of December of this year. They've given notice that they want to start those meet and confer agreements as well. And then we are still hopeful that we will be in negotiations with fire. Those things are still on the horizon, and we will need to address it. Further significant reductions in department spending will not be practical for addressing financial issues without significant layoffs of key personnel. We have scrubbed the budget. We've scrubbed it over the last 3 years. It is becoming increasingly more difficult to ask for more departmental reductions. Please bear in mind that 63%, or $1.6 billion of the total general fund budget is earmarked for personnel costs, with $1.2 billion related to classified employees, police and fire. So this is a tight budget, but it is a budget that will wipe out the $114 million gap as we move forward. It does not include deferrals or one-time land sales. We are fortunate that we've had a significant boost in sales tax, and we are fortunate that we were able to resolve the Tower lawsuit as it relates to pensions, which helped to keep us from having to lay off personnel, which ultimately would affect city services. But this is a very, very tight budget as we move forward, and this is a budget that we are submitting to city council members and hopefully will gain their approval.